From English Bards and Scotch Reviewers, a satire. A man must serve his time to every trade, save censure, critics all are ready-made. Take hackneyed jokes from Miller, got by rote, with just enough of learning to misquote. A mind well skilled to find or forge a fault, a turn for punning, call it attic salt. To Geoffrey go, be silent and discreet, his pay is just 10 sterling pounds per sheet. Fear not to lie, 'twill seem a sharper hit. Shrink not from blasphemy, 'twill pass for wit. Care not for feeling, pass your proper jest, and stand a critic, hated yet caressed. And shall we own such judgment? No, as soon seek roses in December, ice in June. Hope constancy in wind, or corn in chaff. Believe a woman, or an epitaph, or any other thing that's false before you trust in critics, who themselves are sore, or yield one single thought to be misled by Geoffrey's heart or Lamb's Boeotian head. To these young tyrants, by themselves misplaced, combined usurpers on the throne of taste. To these, when authors bend in humble awe, and hail their voice as truth, their word as law, while these are censors, 'twould be sin to spare. While such are critics, why should I forbear? But yet so near all modern worthies run, 'tis doubtful whom to seek, or whom to shun. Nor know we when to spare, or where to strike. Our bards and censors are so much alike. Then should you ask me why I venture o'er the path which Pope and Gifford tread before, if not yet sickened, you can still proceed. Go on, my rhyme will tell you as you read. But hold, exclaims a friend, here's some neglect. This, that, and t'other line seems incorrect. What then? The selfsame blunder Pope has got, and careless Dryden, aye, but Pye has not. Indeed, 'tis granted, faith, but what care I? Better to err with Pope than shine with Pye. Time was, ere yet in these degenerate days, ignoble themes obtained mistaken praise. When sense and wit with poesy allied, no fabled graces flourished side by side. From the same fount their inspiration drew, and reared by taste, bloomed fairer as they grew. Then in this happy isle a Pope's pure strain sought the rapt soul to charm, nor sought in vain. A polished nation's praise aspired to claim, and raise the people's as the poet's fame. Like him, great Dryden poured the tide of song in stream less smooth, indeed, yet doubly strong than Congreve's scenes could cheer, or Otway's melt. For nature then an English audience felt. But why these names, or greater still, retrace, when all to feebler bards resign their place? Yet to such times our lingering looks are cast, when taste and reason with those times are past. Now look around and turn each trifling page, survey the precious works that please the age. This truth at least let satire's self allow, no dearth of bards can be complained of now. The loaded press beneath her labor groans, and printers' devils shake their weary bones, while Sally's epics cram the creaking shelves, and Little's lyrics shine in hot-pressed 12s. Thus saith the preacher, naught beneath the sun is new, yet still from change to change we run. What varied wonders tempt us as they pass, like cowpox, tractors, galvanism, and gas. In turns appear to make the vulgar stare, till the swollen bubble bursts, and all is air. Nor less new schools of poetry arise, where dual pretenders grapple for the prize. Or taste awhile these pseudo-bards prevail, each country book club bows the knee to Baal, and hurling lawful genius from the throne, erects a shrine and idol of its own, some leaden calf, but whom it matters not, from soaring Southey down to grovelling Stott. Behold, in various throngs the scribbling crew, for notice eager, pass in long review. Each spurs his jaded Pegasus apace, and rhyme and blink maintain an equal race. Sonnets on sonnets crowd, and ode on ode, and tales of terror jostle on the road. Immeasurable measures move along, for simpering folly loves a varied song. To strange mysterious dullness still the friend admires the strange she cannot comprehend. Thus lays of minstrels, may they be the last, on half-strung harps wind mournful to the blast, while mountain spirits prate to river sprites, that dame may listen to the sound at nights, and goblin brats of Gilpin Horner's brood decoy young border nobles through the wood, and skip at every step Lord knows how high, and frighten foolish babes the Lord knows why. while high-born ladies in their magic cell, forbidding knights to read who cannot spell, dispatch a courier to a wizard's grave, and fight with honest men to shield a knave. Next view in state, proud prancing on his roan, the golden-crested, haughty Marmion, now forging scrolls, now foremost in the fight, not quite a felon, yet but half a knight. The gibbet o'er the field prepared to grace a mighty mixture of the great and base. And thinkest thou, Scot, by vain conceit perchance, on public taste to foist thy stale romance? Though Murray with his miller may combine to yield thy muse just half a crown per line. No, when the sons of song descend to trade, their bays are sere, their formal laurels fade. Let such forego the poet's sacred name, who rack their brains for lucre, not for fame. Still for stern mammon may they toil in vain, and sadly gaze on gold they cannot gain. Such be their meed, such still the just reward of prostituted muse and hireling bard. For this we spurn Apollo's venal son, and bid along a good night to Marmion. These are the themes that claim our plaudits now. These are the bards to whom the muse must bow, while Milton, Dryden, Pope alike forgot, resigned their hallowed bays to Walter Scott. The time has been, when yet the muse was young, when Homer swept the lyre and Maro sung, an epic scarce 10 centuries could claim, while awestruck nations hailed the magic name. The work of each immortal bard appears, the single wonder of 1,000 years. Empires have mouldered from the face of earth, tongues have expired with those who gave them birth, without the glory such a strain can give, as even in ruin bids the language live. Not so with us, though minor bards content on one great work a life of labor spent. With eagle pinions soar into the skies, behold the ballad-monger Southey rise. To him let Camoens, Milton, Tasso yield, whose annual strains like armies take the field. First in the ranks see Joan of Arc advance, the scourge of England and the boast of France. Though burnt by wicked Bedford for a witch, behold her statue, placed in glory's niche. Her fetters burst, and just released from prison, a virgin phoenix from her ashes risen. Next see tremendous Talaba come on, Arabia's monstrous, wild, and wondrous son. Dom Daniel's dread destroyer, who overthrew more mad magicians than the world ever knew. Immortal hero, all thy foes o'ercome, forever reign, the rival of Tom Thumb. Since startled meter fled before thy face, well wert thou doomed the last of all thy race. Well might triumphant Genie bear thy hence, illustrious conqueror of common sense. Now last and greatest, Maddox spreads his sail, cacique in Mexico and prince in Wales. Tells us strange tales as other travellers do, more old than Mandeville's and not so true. O Southey, Southey, cease thy varied song, a bard may chant too often and too long. As thou art strong in verse, in mercy spare. A fourth, alas, were more than we could bear. But if in spite of all the world can say, thou still wilt verse-word plod thy weary ways, if still in Berkeley ballads most uncivil, thou wilt devote old women to the devil, the babe unborn thy dread intent may rue. God help thee, Southey, and thy readers too. Next comes the dull disciple of thy school, that mild apostate from poetic rule, the simple Wordsworth, framer of a lay, as soft as evening in his favourite May, who warns his friend to shake off toil and trouble, and quit his books for fear of growing double, who both by precept and example shows that prose is verse, and verse is merely prose, convincing all by demonstration plain, poetic souls delight in prose insane, and Christmas stories tortured into rhyme contain the essence of the true sublime. Thus when he tells the tale of Betty Foy, the idiot mother of an idiot boy, a moonstruck silly lad who lost his way, and like his bard, confounded night with day. So close on each pathetic part he dwells, and each adventure so sublimely tells, that all who view the idiot in his glory conceive the bard the hero of the story. Shall gentle Coleridge pass unnoticed here, to turgid ode and tumid stanza dear? Though themes of innocence amuse him best, yet still obscurity's a welcome guest. If inspiration should her aid refuse to him who takes a pixie for a muse, yet none in lofty numbers can surpass the bard who soars to elegize an ass. So well the subject suits his noble mind, he brays the laureate of the long-eared kind. Delightful boughs, still blessing and still blessed, all love thy strain, but children like it best. 'Tis thine with gentle little's moral song to soothe the mania of the amorous throng. With thee our nursery damsels shed their tears, ere miss as yet completes her infant years. But in her teens thy whining powers are vain, she quits poor bowels for little's purer strain. Now to soft themes thou scornest to confine the lofty numbers of a harp like thine. Awake a louder and a loftier strain, such as none heard before or will again. Where all discoveries jumbled from the flood, since first the leaky ark reposed in mud, by more or less are sung in every book, from Captain Noah down to Captain Cook. Nor this alone, but pausing on the road, the bard sighs forth a gentle episode, and gravely tells, attend each beauteous miss, when first Madeira trembled to a kiss. Bowels, in thy memory let this precept dwell, stick to thy sonnets, man, at least they sell. But if some newborn whim or larger bribe prompt thy crude brain and claim thee for a scribe, if chance some bard, though once by dunces feared, now prone in dust, can only be revered. If Pope, whose fame and genius from the first have foiled the best of critics, needs the worst, do thou essay each fault, each failing scan. The first of poets was, alas, but man. Rake from each ancient dunghill every pearl, consult Lord Fanny and confide in Curl. Let all the scandals of a former age perch on thy pen and flutter o'er thy page. Affect a candour which thou canst not feel, clothe envy in the garb of honest zeal. Write as if St. John's soul could still inspire, and do from hate what Mallet did for hire. Oh, hadst thou lived in that congenial time, to rave with Dennis and with Ralph to rhyme, thronged with the rest around his living head, not raise thy roof against the lion dead, a meet reward has crowned thy glorious gains, and linked thee to the Dunciad for thy pains. Now to the drama turn, O motley sight, what precious scenes the wondering eyes invite. Puns and a prince within a barrel pent, and Dibdin's nonsense yield complete content. Though now, thank heaven, the Rosiomania's o'er, and full-grown actors are endured once more, yet what avail their vain attempts to please, while British critics suffer scenes like these, while Reynolds vents his damns, poos, and zounds, and commonplace and common sense confounds, while Kenny's world, where is Kenny's wit? Tires the sad galleries, lulls the listless pit, and Beaumont's pilfered Carattac affords a tragedy complete in all but words, who but must mourn while these are all the rage, the degradation of our vaunted stage. Heaven, is all sense of shame and talent gone? Have we no living bard of merit? None! Awake, George Coleman, Cumberland, awake! Ring the alarm bell, let folly quake. O Sheridan, if aught could move thy pen, let comedy assume her throne again. Abjure the mummery of the German schools, leave new Pizarros to translating fools, give as thy last memorial to the age one classic drama, and reform the stage. Gods, o'er those boards shall folly rear her head, where Garrick trod and Siddons lives to tread. On those shall farce display buffoonery's mask, and Hook conceal his heroes in a cask. Shall sapient managers new scenes produce, from Cherry, Skepton, and Mother Goose, while Shakespeare Otway Massenger forgot, on stalls must moulder or in closets rot. Lo, with what pomp the daily prints proclaim the rival candidates for Attic fame. In grim array though Lewis's spectres rise, still Skeffington and Goofs divide the prize. And sure great Skeffington must claim our praise for skirtless coats and skeletons of plays, renowned alike, whose genius never confines her flight to garnish Greenwood's gay designs, nor sleeps with sleeping beauties, but anon in 5 facetious acts comes thundering on, while poor John Bull, bewildered with the scene, stares, wondering what the devil can it mean. But as some hands applaud a venal few, rather than sleep, why John applauds it too. To the famed throng now paid the tribute due, neglected genius, let me turn to you. Come forth, O Campbell, give thy talents scope. Who dares aspire if thou must cease to hope? And thou, melodious Rogers, rise at last, recall the pleasing memory of the past. Arise, let blessed remembrance still inspire, and strike to wonted tones thy hallowed lyre. Restore Apollo to his vacant throne, assert thy country's honour and thy own. What, must deserted Posey still weep, where her last hopes with pious Cowper sleep? Unless perchance from his cold bier she turns, to deck the turf that wraps her minstrel burns. No, though contempt hath marked the spurious brood, the race who rhyme from folly or for food, yet still some genuine sons 'tis hers to boast, who, least affecting, still affect the most. Feel as they write, and write but as they feel. Bear witness, Gifford, Sotheby, and McNeill. Why slumbers Gifford? Once was act in vain. Why slumbers Gifford? Let us ask again. Are there no follies for his pen to purge? Are there no fools whose backs demand the scourge? Are there no sins for satire's bard to greet? Stalks not gigantic vice in every street? Shall peers or princes tread pollution's path, and scape alike the laws and muses' wrath? Nor blaze with guilty glare through future time eternal beacons of consummate crime. Arouse thee, Gifford, be thy promise claimed, make bad men better, or at least ashamed. Unhappy wight, while life was in its spring, and thy young muse just waved her joyous wing, the spoiler swept that soaring lyre away, which else had sounded an immortal lay. Oh, what a noble heart was here undone, when science self-destroyed her favourite son! Yes, she too much indulged thy fond pursuit. She sowed the seeds, but death has reaped the fruit. 'Twas thine own genius gave the final blow, and helped to plant the wound that laid thee low. So the struck eagle stretched upon the plain, no more through rolling clouds to soar again, viewed his own feather on the fatal dart, and winged the shaft that quivered in his heart. Keen were his pangs, but keener far to feel he nursed the pinion which impelled the steel, while the same plumage that had warmed his nest drank the last life-drop of his bleeding breast. Blessed is the man who dares approach the bower, where dwelt the muses at their natal hour, whose steps have pressed, whose eyes have marked afar, the clime that nursed the songs of song and war, the scenes which glory still must hover o'er, her place of birth, her own Achaean shore. But doubly blessed is he whose heart expands with hallowed feelings for these classic lands, who rends the veil of ages long gone by, and views their remnants with a poet's eye. Right! 'Twas thy happy lot at once to view those shores of glory, and to sing them too. And sure no common muse inspired thy pen to hail the land of gods and godlike men. And you, associate bards, who snatched to light those gems too long withheld from modern sight, whose mingling taste combined to cool the wreath where Attic flowers and Ionian odors breathe, and all their renovated fragrance flung to grace the beauties of your native tongue. Now let those minds that nobly could transfuse the glorious spirit of the Grecian muse, though soft the echo, scorn a borrowed tone, resign Achaea's lyre, and strike your own. Let these, or such as these, with just applause, restore the muses' violated laws, but not in flimsy Darwin's pompous chime, that mighty master of unmeaning rhyme, whose gilded symbols more adorned than clear the eye delighted, but fatigued the ear. In show the simple lyre could once surpass, but now worn down, appear in native brass. while all his train of hovering sylphs around evaporate in similes and sound. Him let them shun, with him let tinsel die. False glare attracts, but more offends the eye. Yet let them not to vulgar Wordsworth stoop, the meanest object of the lowly group, whose verse, of all but childish prattle void, seems blessed harmony to Lamb and Lloyd. Let them but hold my muse, nor dare to teach a strain far, far beyond thy humble reach. The native genius, with their being given, will point the path and peal their notes to heaven. And thou too, Scot, resigned to minstrels rude, the wilder slogan of a border feud. Let others spin their meagre lines for hire, enough for genius if itself inspire. Let Southey sing, although his teeming muse prolific every spring be too profuse. Let simple Wordsworth chime his childish verse, and brother Coleridge lull the babe at nurse. Let spectre-mongering Lewis aim, at most, to rouse the galleries, or to raise a ghost. Let Moore still sigh, let Strangford steal from Moore, and swear that Camoens sang such notes of yore. Let Haley hobble on, Montgomery rave, and godly Graham chant a stupid stave. Let sonneteering Bowles his strain refine, and whine and whimper to the 14th line. Let Stott, Carlyle, Matilda, and the rest of Grub Street and the Grosvenor Place the best scrawl on till death release us from the strain, or common sense asserts her rights again. For me, who though unasked have dared to tell my country what her sons should know too well, zeal for her honor bade me here engage the host of idiots that infest her age. No, just applause her honored name shall lose, as first in freedom, dearest to the muse. O would thy bards but emulate thy fame, and rise more worthy, Albion, of thy name. What Athens was in science, Rome in power, what Tyre appeared in her meridian hour, 'tis thine at once, fair Albion, to have been earth's cheap dictatress, ocean's lovely queen. But Rome decayed, and Athens strewn the plain, and Tyre's proud peers lie scattered in the main. Like these thy strength may sink, in ruin hurled, and Britain fall, the bulwark of the world. But let me cease, and dread Cassandra's fate, with warning ever scoffed at, till too late. To themes less lofty still my lay confine, and urge thy bards to gain a name like thine.